Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a fun one because I'm going to be discussing my top 5 eyeshadow palette picks for fall. First off, I just want to acknowledge that the lighting might be a little bit off in this video. I'm filming this on a Friday, so I do have a wedding today, and all of my lighting is packed up, ready to go, so it's all in my car, so I'm kind of working with natural light here, and this room isn't the best for lighting. So it's also not the best for sound because I can literally hear every single car that has ever driven past my house. Anyways, yesterday was September 1st. Starbucks has their pumpkin spice lattes out. HomeSense is full of fall decor, so that means that fall is on its way. The weather's starting to get a little bit cooler, thank God, because I work outside a lot of the time and I'm just so sick of sweating my butt off. So I'm really happy that things are starting to cool down. And with the arrival of cooler weather, that means that my wedding season is also starting to slow down. Thank goodness. It's been a crazy one. I'm really grateful, but it's been nuts, and next year is looking even crazier. So since fall is on its way, I wanted to talk about my top 5 eyeshadow palettes for fall. A subscriber actually suggested this video concept and I thought it was a great idea. I loved it. I believe her name was Erica, so thank you so much for suggesting it. It was a great idea. And yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into it. I am first going to talk about the eyeshadow palette that I'm currently wearing. Today I used the Natasha Denona Sunrise. Yeah, the Sunrise palette. This was my very first Natasha Denona palette ever, and look how beautiful she is. This is still one of my favorites. The color story is just so stunning. Everything pulls very warm. It kind of reminds me of like autumn trees, you know, the leaves. We have some yellow, some red, and also some really pretty neutrals. I actually keep these 3 shades in my bridal kit, so I have to pop these out after I film this video and put them back in. And it also comes with some really beautiful like shimmery burgundies, some really pretty purples. I don't know, this just kind of screams fall to me. The packaging is red. Just the whole palette experience as a whole is very fall time to me. My favorite shade, today I'm using this shade here called Laurel and the shade Morgan and a little bit of Clove. I really like this shade here called Awakening, especially for the fall time. It's like a pinky toned color and it has some purple duochrome to it and it has a little bit of depth to it that's super beautiful. Like, are you kidding? That is such a beautiful metallic. Oh my god. I also really like the purple shade in this palette called Aster. It is so beautiful. It kind of reminds me of Halloween. So that's how I justify the purple in this palette being fall time. Another one that I don't think is particularly interesting, but I get a lot of use out of because the color is so rich and beautifully pigmented and the eyeshadow quality itself is so good, is this shade right here called Clove. It's like a burgundy-ish brown, and I will reach specifically for this palette just for that one shade. Not sure where my voice is going. So yeah, this is definitely, I think this is like my top pick, like number 1. I love this, but I also wanted to include some more like affordable options because this is like $90 Canadian now. Like, it's insane. The next one I have, I feel like is cheating a little bit because it's limited edition and I feel kind of bad for including it, but it truly is one of my fall favorites. This is by Colourpop and it is the At Forest Sight palette in collaboration with Raw Beauty Christie. Does this not just scream fall time? Right? Like, all of the jewel tones really speak to me. I really love this palette. The quality is so good. The outdoorsy, woodsy vibe really reminds me of fall time. You have like your fall tree colors and then also like your foresty colors. I don't know, it just really speaks to me and really screams fall time. I'm pretty sure this was a fall launch. I also really like Christie as a creator. I think she's fantastic. I get a lot of use out of this shade called Old Growth in particular. I think it's so beautiful and I actually use it on quite a few brides because it has like a really pretty pinky undertone. I think my favorite shade in the palette is this like really pretty jewel toned burgundy purple called Amantia. Amanita. I don't know how to read apparently. It's just like a really beautiful red toned purple with a lot of depth in it. I also really enjoy the shades Fiddlehead and Evergreen. This shade just swatched weird because my hand was still damp when I swatched it. I love a good olive green eye for fall. I think it is so beautiful, and these two colors together are just the best. The one shade I'm not a huge fan of is this black one here called Let It Rain. It's kind of like a MAC Beauty Mark shade, but I just don't really like this type of formula where there's like sequins embedded in the matte formula. So that's like the one shade that I don't particularly use in this palette and the only one I would pass on. Everything else is gorgeous, done beautifully, formula, color, everything perfect. I feel like that was super cringy, but truly chef's kiss, perfect palette besides that one shade. Next up, I feel like this one is kind of a hot take because a lot of people don't like these eyeshadow palettes, but I personally have liked them the whole time they've been out, and I've spoken very highly of them for this whole time. These are the Fenty Beauty Snap Shadows. I think they're good quality. I think they're just a different type of formula than what people are used to. I feel like people are so like, yeah, pigment, we need all the pigment, but I feel like these are just really easy to work with in the sense that they're a little bit more sheer and buildable, but still smooth. They don't apply patchy for me. And you know, not everyone is experienced enough to deal with a super high pigment shadow. So that's why I specifically like the Snap Shadows. And this one in particular is the shade Deep Neutrals, I want to say. Yeah, number 3, Deep Neutrals. I can't open this because I don't have nails. There we go. Look how pretty this is. It's exactly what the name says. It's Deep Neutrals. I really like, again, the purple shade, and I also really like this deep fudge brown. I think it's so beautiful and really quite deep. Like it's a blackened brown almost, and see, like I think they're pigmented. I just think that they're not quite everyone's standards of pigment, I guess. I really like the shimmers in here as well. I think that you have a nice cranberry tone, and then there's also like a really pretty deep burgundy almost. And though it is the most boring, if I am honest with myself, I do get the most use out of this shade in particular. It's just like the perfect medium tone neutral brown. Like it's perfect. Not too warm, but not too ashy. It's a nice shade, and I use that one quite a bit. I often reach for this palette just for that shade. So even though it is kind of the most boring average shade in the palette, it is my most used for sure. Next up, this one is such an oldie, but still such a goodie. The Modern Renaissance palette by Anastasia. I just think that this palette screams fall. Like you have kind of mustard tones, and then you have kind of your deeper shades that all kind of go very orangey and red. And then you have like a really nice cool tone. I don't know. I just think that this is a very fall tone palette besides this like fuchsia color right here. Besides the two shimmers and this cream shade, everything has a lot of depth to it, and I just think it's so beautiful, and the quality is still so good. I love that it's still available even after all this time. It's just such a cult favorite, and though I can see this working for any time of year, every time I reach for it, it's always in the fall time. As for my most used shades, I would definitely say Primavera, which is a light toned gold. I also really like this shade here called Golden Ochre. It's like a mustardy, lightish brown, and it's really nice for the fall time. Also Red Ochre for obvious reasons. I love like a reddy, orangey toned eye. But I've recently been reaching a lot for Warm Taupe, which is interesting. And also Cypress Umber is the best dark brown. That's a bold statement, but I stand by it. I think it's a great shade. I keep that single in my kit. Like, I just think it's such a staple. And I do think Subculture is also very fall time appropriate, but this one is just better quality wise, easier to use. I just like it better. I'm much more inclined to wear warm tones, and there's like a lot of cooler jewel tones in that one. Plus, I would rather use the Raw Beauty Christie palette if I'm going to go for jewel tones. So that's why I prefer this one. And lastly is another Colourpop palette. I did try to pick a couple that were affordable. This was launched, I think, around this time last year, and it is the It's a Mood palette. It has like the pretty sweater detailing here, so cute, and then you open it up and it's just like a fall girl's dream. Everything is so pretty, and each row is like a color story, and I think it's all really fall appropriate because they're jewel tones. Imagine. You have your olive green row, your teal row, which is, I think these two are like more Halloween-y kind of, and then you have your orange row, your kind of pinky burgundy row, and then what is this? Your neutrals row. I'm missing a couple because I put them in my kit. My bad. I forgot to put them back for this video. I just think it's so pretty, and there's so many options, and you can do so much. Like, you can do like a purpley burgundy look. You could do a green with teal. You could do a purple and teal if you're feeling fun. I just think that there's so many options. As for favorite shades, that's a hard one because there's so many choices. I really love this green tone bronze shimmer with like a gold flash. It's called Wanna Go. I also love this shade called Thunder. Yeah, Thunder. I need to get my eyes checked. I can't see anything lately. And it's like a purple teal duochrome. Like, look how pretty that is. It's kind of weird because I feel like this color actually reminds me of fall the most. It's like a light purple. It's called Night Call. This is a swatch of it here. My hand was still damp. That's why it went on patchy, but it's like a really cool toned light purple. I don't know why, but I just think that is like the most fall time shade and Halloween shade. I really like this teal shimmer too. This one is called Feels Like, and honestly not super fall themed. I would say this is more of a summer shade, but I still really like it. For more boring shades that I get the most use out of, that would most definitely be the shade Our Deal. It is the most beautiful chocolate brown. This is one that I keep in my kit and it is just so gorgeous. I keep this along with Cypress Umber and I don't really need anything else. The Colourpop one is a little bit more sheer, so if I'm wanting something that I can buff out a little bit more and something that'll be less intense, then that'll be the one I reach for over Cypress Umber. They're both really solid options. It just kind of depends on what I'm using them for. And then also this really deep purple shade I also use in my kit. It's called Had to Be, and I find this is a really beautiful alternative to black as a liner, especially on like Mother of the Brides. A lot of them wear like jewel tones and like navies and stuff like that, and I find that that's a really pretty shade to use as a little bit of eyeliner, and you can kind of smudge it out so it's not so harsh. And then also I've been getting a lot of use out of this shade lately, the shade Everywhere. It's just like a basic matte orange toned brown, but you really can't go wrong with a shade like that in the fall time. So yeah, that is my last favorite palette for the fall, and those are my top 5. I was going through my palette drawer and I realized how out of date a lot of my stuff was, so I tried to pick things that were like relatively new and for the most part still available, besides the Raw Beauty Christie. I'm sorry. I feel like I've been on such a big eyeshadow palette low to no buy for so long that everything's just kind of gone out of date and nothing's new anymore, so I'm kind of like, everything's discontinued, so maybe I'll, you know, dabble in a couple new eyeshadow palettes. I've been really eyeing the Patrick Ta ones. I swatched the shimmers in person and oh my god, those are so stunningly beautiful, like I can't even describe it. If you have the opportunity to swatch a Patrick Ta eyeshadow palette in person, do it and let me know how you like the shimmers, because like stunning. Anyways, let me know your favorite fall eyeshadow palettes in the comments down below and I can definitely check them out. Maybe I will update my collection with some of your suggestions. And yeah, I think that is it for me today. I gotta get going to my wedding, so yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in and thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far. Please don't forget to subscribe if you want to. If you don't, that's okay. I just really appreciate you being here. It helps out my channel so very much by you watching, so thank you. Please leave any video requests you may have in the comments down below and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!